All right, good afternoon. Welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. We are continuing to move through our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough. We are currently in Icebrood Saga, and we are ready to finish the second half of Jormag Rising, which of course is the second half of the two chapters where my audio was all botched up. So we're in the process of catching up right now, right? Um, if you take a look here, like already done and yet not captured on video properly. So that's what we're going to do right now. So Bram is trying to, we see him down here, there's Bram, trying to get the spirits of the wild kind of sorted out, because our goal is to enter through this door and thus get the jump on Bangar, right? Who's hanging out up in here in the Frost Citadel. So if we can get the jump on Bangar, then that saves the United Legions from having to try and conduct a full frontal assault on Frost Citadel. So let's check in with Bram and see if he's making progress on figuring out this door.
How do we get it open?
This place was built to honor all the spirits. The door can only open if enough of them are working together. The great spirits aren't talking, so we need the other spirits to help. I can feel them. Hare, otter, griffin.
And is that owl?
Yeah. Jormag
Literally,
can talk about
that's
peace
Owl.
all they want. But the Norn will never forget Owl's sacrifice.
Looks like there are 3 missing spirit totems. Any idea where those are? What was that? What did I just see?
A shaman came from Holbreck, took the totems for Ox, Eagle, and Wolverine. Then he hid them. Shame, I guess. What you saw were the resting places of the 3 totems. Commander, I need you to find them and bring them back here.
And what will you be doing?
The lesser spirits don't know me. I need to prove I'm worthy, like I did to the others. Speaking of which, they might test you. You know, before they let you pick up their totems.
Bram, am I going to have to turn into an ox again?
What? No. No. Maybe.
Bram!
I don't know. You saw them at Jakar Lake. They're not exactly right in the head.
3 totems. 3 fickle spirits of the wild. What could go wrong?
Alright, so this is actually kind of a... Is it fun? Maybe it's fun. Kind of a fun touch. So essentially, in order to obtain these spirit totems, what we're going to do is we're going to complete activities or little mini games associated with these 3 spirits, and thus earn their respect or their honor, or whatever the case may be, and get the totems that way. These are 3 activities that exist on the map anyway, but we're going to do them within the story. I don't necessarily mind when the studio incorporates that kind of stuff into the story. Sometimes it doesn't feel all that good, sometimes it does. These aren't bad. One of them is extraordinarily easy, one of them is actually relatively difficult, and one kind of falls in the middle where it's just a thing that you do. So the first one that we're headed to is actually the somewhat difficult one, and that is Ox. So we're going to head to Ox. Now, fortunately, because I just did this a few days ago and the audio didn't record, I'm pretty fresh on the execution of this. I'm not trying to get an achievement or anything. The goal is simply to successfully complete it. So that should be relatively simple. Let's see how it goes here.
I know you. You were with Erson back in the marches. There is great strength in you, and I will test it.
Do what you have to. I'm ready.
Alright, so the reason that this spirit knows us is because we dealt with Ox in Biora Marches, right? I guess it's Biora and not Bajora. I've been saying Bajora, but apparently it's Biora. It's like a soft J. I guess. So Ox already recognizes us, already knows us. We're going to go ahead and execute this event.
You were the one who turned into Ox, who pulled offerings to my shrine back in the marshes.
Indeed, I am.
But it is easy to prove your strength by transforming into the strongest spirit in the Pantheon. I want to see your true strength. I want to see what it takes to exhaust the famed Pact Commander.
Alright, here we go. So the goal of this activity is to grab as many of these glowing... oh, I did a really bad job there. Walked right into that orb. Grab as many of these... Did it again? How am I doing here? 3 out of 10? Of these glowing red orbs as possible, without getting hit by the shiny blue things that are coming at us. I'm actually off to an exceptionally bad start. However, the time that you're given is plenty. And because I was hit a couple times with almost no orbs, the impact of my extremely bad start was actually is not that bad. So we should be able to manage just fine. You don't have to get gold to move forward in the story. We pretty much just have to get like an acceptable score to advance. So we should be able to manage that without too much difficulty, I would think. Alright. So we have a couple skills here to help us, right? Ox's Resilience essentially makes us invulnerable to the orb. Sprint gives us more speed, and Might of the Ox is going to give us like a big jump. That's the one that I find myself using the most. I rarely use the other two when completing this activity. Probably I would be more successful at getting gold if I did use the other two. Be that as it may, you certainly don't have to master those 3 skills to get what you need. You should be able to just kind of muddle through this and get an adequate score. If we wanted gold, like I would... Oh, well, that's what I get for turning my back. If we wanted gold, we would want to go backwards and grab those that are on that... kind of on this bridge here, which why not? We got the time. We got 58 seconds left. So we'll go the long way around here, see if we can get the ones on that bridge. The ones on the bridge essentially require us to pay attention to the orb and stay out of its path. Which in theory should be easy, and yet somehow I managed to make harder than it actually is. There we go. You can't dodge through the orbs, by the way, which is what I tried to do there and failed miserably. Oh, I hit it. This is a really poor showing. For the record, if you were wondering what good looks like versus bad, this is a very poor showing. So the goal would be to do much, much better than I'm doing right now. And one might argue that not using the... Oh, alright, well I guess that's good enough.
I am impressed, even with Jormag's bile coursing through my mind. But on my worst day, I am still stronger than any of the creatures they send in my name.
Cool, Ox. Okay, so that was odd because on my last playthrough it didn't actually do that. On my last playthrough, I was able to take the activity all the way to completion. I did better on my last playthrough and actually just missed gold by 1. Of course, on my main account, I did ultimately get gold at some point. None of that is relevant to this playthrough. We have completed our task, so we are ready to head to the next one. The next one should be Wolverine, if I remember correctly. So let's head over there. Wolverine is the one where you kind of just do it. I don't consider it particularly hard. I don't consider it particularly easy, but Watch, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to mess it up. I've never failed Wolverine, because it's a combat encounter. You just do it, and you win, and then you move on. I suppose if Wolverine were to kill you, then that would constitute, like, a failure. I've never had that happen. There are a number of achievements available in Wolverine. And in fact, you can get mastery point if you do a good enough job at Wolverine. So we already have that mastery point on this account because the playthrough that had no volume, I did get the mastery point.
The mighty commander has come for my totem. Are you prepared to fight for the privilege?
Only if you're prepared to give it to me when I win.
Alright, I guess that's the end of the dialogue. So to get this mastery point, to get the achievements here, you basically have to do different things. You got to break the CC bar and dodge through certain attacks, etc., etc. You're not going to see that reflected in this because, again, I already got the achievements, so it's not. You're not going to see that like pop up on the screen.
You must first carry yourself. Prove your valor, Commander.
And I guess it's appropriate that the combat one would be like Spirit of the Honey Badger over here, because that makes the most sense, right? Of the three. Alright, so it actually still shows the achievements there, even though I already have the master point. So that'll at least give you an idea of kind of what the expectation is there. So that paralyzing attack will drastically slow down your ability to... there we go, we managed to dodge it that time. To complete this. So if you can manage to dodge it, it comes shortly after those things pop up. I didn't dodge it that time. So you see like these little AoEs that are blue. If you know, just about 3/4 of a second after those things appear, that's when you should expect the that paralyzing attack. There we go. We managed to dodge it. I actually dodge rolled a little bit early there, but we still got it. Yeah, not that time though. And the stun break actually isn't helping me at all, is it? When I get paralyzed by that, I'm paralyzed by it, period.
I haven't had to fight like that in
Yeah, we got gold though.
a long time. Thank you, Commander.
You're welcome, Wolverine.
I still feel Jormag's power coursing through me. A darkness I may never purge. That reminded me of better times.
Oh, well. Happy to hear that. So Wolverine and I are boys now. So we can move on. So we got one left. This one is
Just got the second idol.
dialogue.
How are things over there?
Otter Spirit was a little feisty, but I think everything's fine now. Just waiting on you.
If you really think you can get that door open, Kree and I are coming with.
Ephraim and the others will hit the front door. We'll go through the ruins. Stop Bangar, stop the Frost Legion.
And save the Char from turning into Jormag's personal army. Damn right.
Sweet, sweet flute.
Alright. So Otter Spirit. Feisty. That's actually a very fun, like, mental image. The feisty Otter Spirit giving Bram a hard time.
So, the Pact Commander comes before me to shoulder my idol. But are you willing to prove yourself worthy?
You are at least the 28th all-powerful entity to ask me that question. So yes, willing and ready.
I don't like that dialogue at all. It just shows, like, the hubris of the commander. Like, I think maybe what they're trying to achieve there is that the player is literally thinking that. The player is thinking, how many times are we going to, like, prove ourselves to various deities and entities, and, like, you know, everyone seems to want the commander to prove themselves. And maybe that's kind of the inside joke between the player and the studio when the commander says that. But if you're playing some kind of immersive playthrough, then all it does is make the commander look supremely arrogant, which isn't necessarily good for the story. Again, this is my favorite story stretch in Guild Wars 2. The first half of Icebrood Saga, and in particular, the 2 chapters here at Drizzlewood Coast, are my favorite story. But that line of dialogue probably, like, we could do without that. Alright, so, Eagle Spirit.
If you wish to carry my idol, take to the skies with me. Prove you can keep up with the mightiest of eagles.
Alright, so all we're going to do is fly around and follow that Eagle Spirit right in front of us. We get a speed boost, which we should pretty much spam off cooldown. Other than that, it's literally just following the same like racing line as the spirit here. For some reason, when I did this on the first playthrough on this account, I did not get gold. I missed it by like 0.2 seconds, which was like super surprising to me. Because usually, like if you just follow the spirit like really closely, then gold should be easy enough to achieve. Worst case scenario, you finish it once, you come within like half a second or so, and you realize that you did not spam the speed boost quite often enough, or you did not follow the spirit quite closely enough, or cut some of those circles as tight as you could, and then you just run it again. But this is like, I can't imagine anyone failing this.
We could use your perspective on something.
This is frustrating though. This portion right here.
Yeah, you know what? You sound pretty busy. We got this. Just keep doing whatever it is you're doing.
This part where we're trying to follow the spirit and the dialogue box literally covers like everything that we want to see, that is super annoying. And it's a weird thing that on like their, like when they were testing or whatever, that they didn't identify that that's kind of a bad feeling. You'd think that internally they would have easily identified that. But for whatever reason they didn't. Alright. I was like a second late on one of my speed boost usages, so we'll see how I mean, that translates to like 1/10 of a second in terms of our total time. We'll see what we come up with here. Yeah, I'm not one to chase achievements, but like this should be relatively easy to get, so yeah, we got gold that time. Let's see, what did we end up with? 201. Oh, we cleared it by a solid 4 seconds.
Jormag still whispers to the darkness within me. I can never again be whole. But thanks to you, for a moment I remembered what it was to be a spirit of the wild. Go. Return me to the Pantheon.
Alright, so we don't see the commander carrying anything right here, but ostensibly the commander is carrying like 3 totems of the spirits of the wild. Is there like a mastery point like right here? Where is that thing? Can we grab that without getting attacked? Cool, man.
Is it just me, or am I amazing?
I am, in fact, amazing. Something which I never cease to let people know in terms of the story.
No mercy for the weak.
Oh man, I can never resist raspberries. I don't recall raspberries being used in any food that's particularly important, but they are, I think they're like a low supply, low demand cooking ingredient. If that makes any sense. Does it make sense? I think it makes sense. Alright, so let's head back up to Bram. Let him know that we do in fact have everything that we need to have here. And see if we can figure out how to gain access to this door. Now, of course, if we don't gain access to the door, the United Legions are still going to charge right up to the front door of the Frost Citadel. I don't think that's going to change regardless of our success here or not. But our chances of successfully defeating Bangar, because we're able to catch him off guard, drastically increases if we can, in fact, basically gain 2 avenues of approach. One from under the Frost Citadel through this door, and the other right over the top of the Bloodfield here, right up through here, which is essentially the front door. It goes like up into here, and then there's a front door there. You fight your way through the entire Frost Citadel and over to Claw's Roost, where you fight the Claw of Jormag. So, let's see if we can figure this out.
Spirits give you any trouble?
I got turned into an eagle.
You get turned into a lot of stuff.
It's true.
Just let's get on with it.
Right. Go put those idols by Owl. Spirits of the wild, I am Bram Erson, Norn of prophecy. I ask for your wisdom, so I may enter this sacred place. Voices from beyond the mists call out to me. I hear them, I speak their words. One must first give in to valiant aggression. See the battlefield littered with your defeated foes. Triumph comes only by banishing fear from your heart and mind. Only at the end do you realize it was merely the beginning. When the spirits speak truth, the way will open. Whoa. Okay. You get all that?
I wrote it down.
4 verses, 4 statues. Let's give it a shot.
Okay, so in theory, those 4 verses tell us the sequence that these need to be put on these pedestals, starting with the pedestal right in front of us. Krisha, I believe, is here to like remind us of what's the first line, second line, third line, fourth line. So what is the first line, Krisha? One must first give in to valiant aggression. So that one's actually pretty easy. That one is, let's see. There we go. There's our buddy Wolverine. That one should be Wolverine. If you get it wrong...
You said you'll need all the other spirits' magic to open this door?
Right.
But the owl spirit is dead. How are you going to use its magic?
This door was built when Owl was still alive. Maybe a piece of her magic is still here.
Maybe, Bram. I don't know. We'll get the answer here in a minute, I suppose. So if you get it wrong, there's basically a knockback that like knocks you back to the middle of the circle here, and then the whole puzzle resets. But we got it right, so we got Wolverine. Let's see, what was the second line, Krisha? Oh no! Oh my gosh. Well, easy fix. There we go. Stupid. That's what happens when you have to play it through a second time.
If you need a refresher, Commander, I wrote down the riddle.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. See, so we, while walking up to Krisha, actually walked up to the purple replay thing, and thus triggered that. Okay, second line, Krisha. See the battlefield littered with your defeated foes. But we again have to place Wolverine on the first pedestal because I accidentally reset the entire thing. So Wolverine, second one, see the battlefield littered with your foes. I believe that's Owl, if I remember correctly. It's not a super strong hint, honestly, but owls do have excellent vision from the air, looking down, choosing their prey. Oh, but it is not. Must be eagle then. I always get the two mixed up because really, that's a line that can be applied to both. Don't you think? I do. All right, it's eagle. Third line, Krisha. Oh my gosh. That is such like that's so stupid that sometimes I do wonder like if they actually like test things. Yeah, the ArenaNet makes like really good stuff, but like stupid things like that where it's like, wow, that's completely preventable. It does. Although one would also think that I would remember that that's a problem. So I suppose some of that's on me. Certainly the fact that it happened a second time is on me, right? All right, Krisha. The third line. Triumph comes only by banishing fear from your heart and mind. So I guess that's Owl, because I'm pretty sure the fourth one is Fox. Again, it's not a very good clue. There's nothing there that really suggests Owl. It's not Owl. It's Ox, I guess. All right, so now we know the sequence. I swear last time I did this, it was a different sequence. Maybe there are multiple sequences. I don't know. Well, now we see what it looks like to fail, right? Alright, last one is Al. We'll take Al, put it on, move forward.
Commander, Krisha, we're ready on the assault. Where are you?
Just about ready. Bram, do we have it?
I think so. I have the lesser spirit's power. Now we just need Ox. There's Eagle. And Wolverine. That's it. That's... Wait. Owl? That's not... What did I do?
What did you do?
That magic. It wasn't a remnant of Owl. It was Owl. Jormag corrupted her, so she cut herself off from the mists. She came here, locked herself away, and I just brought her back. Jormag needed more magic to wake up. Now they have Owl again.
Ephraim, Malice, the door's open. Go now. I repeat, go now.
You heard the commander. Let's go kick in the front door.
Commander, I'm sorry. I didn't...
No time, Bram. You open this door, now walk through it.
Right. The spirits are counting on us. The world is counting on us.
And we won't let them down.
All right. So I like Krisha right here. You open the door, walk through it. That's actually from like a military perspective. That's very sound as well. Make a decision, come committed, and execute. Certainly, if you realize you have just plain made a horrible decision, then yes, it's time to reevaluate. But right now, barely making the decision and then second guessing it this is not the time to make changes. We need to continue to drive forward. So, one char, one dragon, one champion. Let's do it.
Hey, come on. Pick up the pace.
They're here.
Bram, what is it?
I know why Wolf and the other great spirits weren't answering me before. They're trapped here, in the keep. If Jormag corrupted them.
Jormag would have more magic than they'd know what to do with.
Then let's quit capping. Get up there and stop it.
You think Ryland's up there?
If you're
know.
inside the keep, I recommend
But
covering
Bangar
your
surely
ears.
is.
I'm counting on it.
All right, so that rumble in the background, that was Krisha blowing open the door.
Keep those Icebrood off us.
Hit it again!
Right, that's it.
They're gonna bring this whole place down.
Good.
With us inside.
Oh, not good.
Ephraim, Malice, are you through?
Doors open. Frost Legion doesn't look happy about it. The Legion!
Secure the groundwork, then find a way up to us.
You got it, Commander. Midrock. Ryland's there. Understood. Right.
Pretty big entries by Malice's standards.
I'm sure she'll stab a few Frost Legion in the back of the way.
I'll break you down.
All right. So simultaneous, while this is happening, the meta event is happening as well, because the meta event does enter by the front door. I'm not going to add the meta event to this playthrough the way I've done with some other story chapters. Just know that it is in fact happening and that it involves them entering through the front door, essentially. So back here we had, I didn't pick it up and it now has disappeared, a blood collector. That can be used. It's a weapon that you can pick up. It can be used to gather Jormag's blood here, which is what's pouring out onto the ground here, and shoot it out as a weapon because it's like corrosive or, it freezes the enemy or whatever quality it has. You can use Jormag's blood as a weapon with those blood collectors. There is an achievement associated with that. So it does benefit you to grab that blood collector, gather blood, and use it against these enemies. I think you have to use it against enemies 10 times to get the achievement. See, there he's gathering the blood right now. Now he's going to try and use it against us. And we'll try and pick this one up here in a second. In fact, let's grab it right now. Why not? All right, let's gather some of this blood. Now we're going to use it here. We're going to shoot it at this guy. You can see it does significant damage. So not only is the blood collector good for the achievement, but it is a relatively effective weapon. Allow them to lead you through this corridor. Because if you do not, and you run ahead of them, they will get hung up where this blood pours down for whatever reason. As NPCs, they get like stuck in it like it's goo. And it will prevent you, you'll have to restart the instance. It is an exceptionally stupid thing. A minute ago I mentioned, like, do they not test some of this stuff? I don't know how they allowed that to slip through and how they've allowed it to exist for so long. But yeah, if you run ahead of these NPCs, you will 100% be waiting here. They will be behind that blood flow way over there, and it will be out of bounds for you. It'll be in these red lines, so you won't be able to go trigger them in any way, and you'll have to restart the instance. Really frustrating.
Come on. Damn it.
Calm down and think.
Krisha, you can melt it.
Damn right I can. Ritlock, Sahathan,
We're doing this again?
we're doing this again.
I don't hate that dialogue. I think it actually makes it better that we're doing this again.
Still got it.
Need to move. Now.
Spirits?
Alright, so this guy, this cannoneer here, is holding a fantastic weapon. It's super fun to play with. We will pick it up here in a minute. There's another cannoneer here as well. So I'm not going to mess with it right now. We'll leave it there. We'll end up coming back to it. But those are super fun to play with. And you can actually end up playing with those throughout Drizzlewood. It's not exclusively here in this portion. And actually, it might be here that they tend to get stuck. But again, just let them lead the way. And then you don't have to worry about it.
Time to do some real damage. We heal as one. Standing. Barely.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Not enough energy. Replenishing.
Yep. I guess we'll target that guy, but I might go completely dead here. We'll see if my pet can come off cooldown in time to get me back up. Oh, or something died. Not sure what died though.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Ridlock, you're up.
Ready.
What?
Anytime, Kree.
It's not working.
What do you mean it's not working?
Jormag's power. It's stronger here. We need a stronger flame.
Where are we supposed to...
Ephraim, where are you?
Looking for another way up. Where are you?
You're about to find out.
Okay. So it may be, the first time you do this, it may be unclear what is called for here. But if you look at the little green stars, you'll see that what they highlight are the cannons that you either took with you or left back here. In our case, we left it back here. Now it gives you, like, one, it gives you this action camera type thing. And two, you can see on the map, which I can't show you with the arrow because we're in an action camera, the green circle, and then within that, like, the little star thing, that's noted as above you. So if you look up above, you'll see that it's actually highlighting the roof here. What it's telling you is shoot a hole in the roof. Because Ephraim's up there.
I was just thinking this place could use a skylight. Everyone, into position. There's an elder dragon beyond this wall. We'll be ready for whatever it throws at us.
Oh, look at that.
Yes, we will.
Ephraim, Malice, as you can see, we've got a bit of a problem.
One the Flame Imperator is uniquely qualified to mitigate.
I am at the United Legion's disposal.
Gridlock?
Ephraim, it's so often with everything you've got.
So why does this work? Because remember, Krisha was Flame Legion when she was a cub. Ephraim is a Flame Legion Imperator, so he is probably considerably more powerful, and they're working together here.
All right, prepare to engage.
Here we go.
There's our boy Banger.
Hoping to take me by surprise. Nice try. What are you doing to the spirits of the wild?
What Jormag did to Drakkar. Use its power to control the uncontrollable. Elder dragons want only magic, and the spirits are nothing but. So, I'll convince them to...
Calm down, Ridlock.
Gridlock!
Go!
Alright, so Bangar is trying to draw power from the spirits of the wild to enhance his ability to subdue Jormag. Okay, and that's what this thing is about. So this is Jormag's blood. He's drawing power from that, and then we got the 4 spirits lined up along there, and he's drawing power from them as well. Or intends to draw power from them, at least. Now beware when you destroy these containment units, they do leave like an AoE behind them. See that right there? Oh, I managed to get it anyway. It's not tremendously damaging, it's just kind of an inconvenience to you.
Time to do some real damage. Feel the fury. Wither.
I'm not sure if these Blood Legion endlessly spawn or not. They definitely, more of them respawn there after the first batch. But we're focusing on the, what is that? VAT containment control units anyway. So, we don't care. Alright, now that we got that taken care of, we can focus on Bangar in an effort to stop him from drawing power from these. Now, it is worth noting, Bangar is a legit foe. I like that. I like that they didn't make him like a complete pushover or somehow like diminish the story with that. Bangar is formidable here.
Strength of the pack. I'll break you down.
Now Ryland has shown up as well. You know, you see Jormag there in the ice.
You said you would never use it on Jormag. The bow is leverage, nothing more. Now you want to corrupt the Norn spirits, to wield their power against Jormag. Seems you need a lot of leverage. Stand down. No, you're right, sir. These spirits do have a use. We need to free them! What do you think you're doing, Tribune? Waking up our dragon. It's not our dragon.
Ryland, you have to stop.
I'm bleeding.
Alright, so now Ryland is kind of taking control of the situation himself. And trying to take the power of the dragon for himself. The problem is the same for us, whether it's Ryland or Bangar, right? So to stop him from channeling the spirits of the wild, we need to come over here and interact with these ourselves. The goal is to try and stay out of these whirling axe AoEs. They move slowly and they kind of meander across the area here. So if you just kind of wait until there aren't any around, then you can come over, do your little code thing, just like demining or any of the other games that involve selecting the correct 1 through 5 down here, and pretty effectively do it. They do some damage if you just stand in the middle of them, but if you just pick and choose your sequence, then it should not be like tremendously difficult to disengage the spirits from Ryland here. They're a bigger problem, however, when fighting Bangar. Because they're going to continue to be an issue. Like, you can see they continue to swirl about the battle area. Is that a word? Battle area? The battlefield here, whatever you want to call this, you still have to navigate these. Ranged may be more effective for us. Let's switch to axe. Simply because we can... you know, better control like where we are.
choose you. Strength of the pack.
If you thought I'd just roll over, you should have known better.
Whether that's directed at Ryland or us, I think it's pretty good dialogue. Because obviously he doesn't just roll over.
Commander?
We're too late. Wake up! We're not done yet.
Jormag,
Have enough energy.
your champion awaits.
Champion? Well, you did gather my army. And so you will be rewarded. Rise, voice of Jormag.
Voice of Jormag. Jormag, I am
Ryland Steelcatcher. I know you. A born leader who's waited your whole life for a role worthy of your talents.
Yes,
Your sire's ferocity, your dam's discipline, and all that rage seething under the surface.
yes.
Yes, I see you, Ryland, and what you've wanted all along.
I want to be your champion.
Then rise, champion of Jormag.
Ryland!
What have you become? Come, champion. Now that I'm awake, things are set in motion. To the rest of you, I leave this gift. My voice.
Yeah, what were you trying to say, Vanger?
I told you we'd all talk to each other again soon. I look forward to our conversations.
He's...
Gone.
What happened?
Jormag's gone. Ryland, too.
Ruin bringer. Oh, that collar's done something to his voice.
What a shame. Place is coming apart. We need to get everyone out of here.
What are we doing with him?
He's Jormag's now. Can't kill him. But I'm not letting him near the Char.
We'll take him to the Eye of the North, to Aurene. She'll want to see this.
Alright, well. Return to the Eye of North we will. And with Jormag's new voice in tow. New voice being Bangar Runebringer. Right, so Bangar was rewarded for his hubris by not getting what he wanted at all, right? Jormag has a certain sense of humor about this, certain sense of irony. And after Bangar comes all this way, he is relegated to simply being Jormag's voice, and Ryland instead is given the role of Jormag's champion. Which must be tragic for Krisha and Ritlock, right? Remember, Krisha and Ritlock, this is their son. And he is turned into not just a champion of Jormag, or not just a minion of Jormag, but the champion of Jormag. Aurene.
This is bad. Even worse than you know. When Jormag woke, there was a great and terrible tremor. I could feel ley energy shifting. The world calling out.
Don't like the sound of that.
Nor do I.
Aurene, why didn't Jormag kill us? They had every chance in there.
Unfortunately, we know as much of Jormag's motives now as we did before.
So nothing.
We are at least consistent.
about our guest?
It seems we have to. Jormag's presence is entwined with Bengar's.
Jormag called Bengar their new voice. Are you in danger if we keep him here?
All I know for certain is Jormag has a plan. And for the moment, they want us all alive.
Lucky us.
Stay vigilant, my champion. Jormag roams free. Tyria calls out in pain. This is going to get worse. I'll wait for Jormag. You must go and prepare this world for the fight to come.
All right. So no rest for the weary here for the commander. We now have a world to prepare for a fight against Jormag. Of note, why would Jormag leave us alive and instead give us this voice of Jormag here in the form of Bengar, currently imprisoned in this cage next to Irene? Well, keep in mind, Jormag is notable among the 6 Elder Dragons, or among the 5 we've encountered thus far, as the Elder Dragon who does not simply corrupt, indiscriminately, but prefers those who choose them. I guess the pronoun for Jormag is they, them. As evidenced by the dialogue throughout the game. It is what it is. I find it distracting, but I don't care that much if that's the route they want to go. So they want volunteers. This is essentially Jormag's mouthpiece to get us to turn and accept Jormag's power and Jormag's dominance versus simply killing us as Jormag could have done. Now we got a number of folks we could talk to here. We got who's that over there? Or what? Oh, that's talking to Irene over here. This is generally here in the Eye of the North where you stand when you talk to Irene. Is on this little outcropping here, directly facing, and you got the pond between you. It's a nice setup. This is a place from the first Guild Wars game, the final expansion of the first Guild Wars game. It is super cool. It is nice that this is kind of where they put Irene when all was said and done, the fully grown prismatic dragon Irene. This is a nice setup for her, and we will begin our later, a few more chapters from now, right? After Champions, or actually one more chapter from now, but a whole bunch of kind of silly nonsense too. Then when we begin End of Dragons, that will also begin here in this setting. So this is a nice setting. We got Irene, we got Krisha, we got Ridlock, and we got Bram, all who have some additional thoughts on what's going on. Let's start with Bram. Bram, this seems to be less than optimal. What are your thoughts? Can't believe Jormag got away. Well, I mean, that should be 100% believable. After all, we weren't necessarily fully prepared to fight Jormag. We were attempting to stop Bengar from waking Jormag in the first place. Obviously, we failed. I don't know that we were ready right at that moment to confront an Elder Dragon. But yes, Jormag got away, and Ryland, ... is now Jormag's champion. Are you doing okay?
I just don't get it, Commander. Jormag could have killed me back there. They know one of us has to die. I kill Jormag, or Jormag kills me. That's what the Wolf Spirit said. But Jormag spared us. Why? Sorry, Commander. Can't let this change anything. It's just... I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, I literally just explained it, Bram, but I don't know if that gets in, if that's unfolded later in the story. I don't recall that. I feel like it should be evident to most players. Ryland. So Ryland's in a bit of a spot.
Always thought he was, I don't know, better than that. Figured he'd turn on Bengar, but the rest of us too? No coming back from where he's gone. Can't imagine what Ritlock and Krisha are going through.
Yeah, so Bram kind of views Ritlock as already gone, right? And I think that's fair. I think it would be easy to view Ritlock as already gone. But Bram is not Ritlock's, or I'm sorry, I keep saying Ritlock, Ryland. It's easy to view Ryland as already gone. Ritlock's not gone, he's right here. Ryland is not Bram's kid, Ryland is Ritlock's kid. So let's talk to Ritlock, because presumably he does not share that view. Was really hoping we'd stop Jormag before all this. Yeah, well, I mean, me too, but Do you need to talk about Ryland?
Thanks, but nothing left to say. Whole time I thought he was choosing between us and Bangar. I had it all wrong. I guess it was always about him. If I'd have been here, maybe probably not. Kree was here. Cinder, his warband, they believed in him. Didn't matter. He did what he was gonna do.
I wonder what kind of parents the developers at ArenaNet had. Is that a horrible thing to say? Because we see it in Air, where Air makes all these excuses about being an awful parent. And now we hear Ritlock say, maybe if I had been there, it would have made a difference. No, probably not. He was always going to do what he was going to do. Have you ever noticed when you have like parents whose like kids are in jail and stuff, and they were like absentee parents? And they're like, maybe if I had been there. No, probably not. They were born bad, or they were always troublemakers, and they immediately make excuses for what is probably an accurate statement. Had you been there, Ritlock, it might have made a difference. I don't know. Again, I think there's a misconception about the Char Society that somehow they like abandon their cubs and the cubs are raised, within the system or something. We see a lot of evidence that that's not the case, and we get that again. Ritlock's dialogue suggests that there is in fact a place within the Char Society for parents to do parenting, which he did not do, and of course he's not willing to take responsibility for that any more than Air was, which leads us back to. Do ArenaNet developers all come from broken homes, or what's the story here? It's very bizarre. Ritlock, what are you going to do now, you deadbeat dad?
Well, Kree's gonna need some help knocking heads together. A lot of bad blood to worry about. But thinking about it, she's probably the best thing that could happen to the Char. And if helping her means avoiding another civil war, or war with Tyria, or turning into ice monsters, well, I'm sure as hell in.
Yes, nothing reconciles a separated couple like disaster, I guess. All right, Krisha, this conversation involves you two. What are your thoughts? The Dominion is in shambles, but there's still so much work left to do. I agree. This Ryland thing, right? Like, what are your thoughts?
He made his choice. Now he'll live with the consequences. He and Bangar both forced me to make my own choice. Who am I loyal to? My Imperator, my Legion, my blood. In the end, none of that matters. The Char were nearly destroyed. I can't let that happen again.
All right, I do appreciate her dialogue a little bit more. She's not making excuses, at least. Instead, she's focusing on what's relevant, which is the way forward, and allowing Ryland to accept responsibility. So at least that's positive, right? Certainly healthier than what Ritlock's up to over there. Are you all right with just leaving Bangar here? So Bangar's back here in the cage. We good with this?
In the watchful care of an Elder Dragon, I think it's safe.
Valid point.
Many of us would have preferred a very public execution. But this is more poetic, I think. But if he causes any trouble, tell Aurene to let me know. I'll finish him off myself.
All right. So I'm with Krisha in the sense that it's very satisfying to see people get exactly what they ask for sometimes. Whether that's like in geopolitics or whether that's just like someone in your office space or your workplace who gets exactly what they ask for and it turns out to be exactly what they deserve. That's always like super satisfying, right? But what about the Char as a race? What's going to happen to them?
We've fought among ourselves countless times, but this was nearly the last. We need stronger leadership. We can't let our hatred grow this strong again.
Well, Krisha, maybe you're that leadership. I don't know. There still is no Conor, and I don't believe there will be in the foreseeable future, and I think that's something we learned from this. But, certainly strong leadership. Krisha can provide that. Aurene, we are all kinds of worked up over everything going on here. What are your thoughts? Champion, I'm so glad to have you back safely. I'm happy to be back safely. Thank you. Can you provide some Elder Dragon insight on what exactly Jormag did to Bangar?
Jormag can bind their voice to living creatures, speak through them from a great distance. You saw it with Drakkar and the whisper of Jormag. Now they have chosen Bangar to serve in this role. His voice is no longer just his own. For now, at least. He is simply a vessel for Jormag.
Okay. I mean, I think we understood that, but now we hear it from Irene, who has an Elder Dragon's perspective, so that's good. Will Jormag try to whisper to you through Bangar? This seems like a stupid question. I think the answer is a very clear yes. I think that was probably part of the intent of leaving us and Bangar alive, is that Bangar would whisper to, or Jormag through Bangar would whisper to whoever's available. The fact that we put him right next to Irene seems to suggest that that is the most productive and easiest target. But what are your thoughts?
Jormag is welcome to try, but I'd like to think they're smarter than that. They may be sincere in saying that Bangar is meant as a gift. But Jormag never gives without expecting something in return. So rest assured, champion. I'll be watching the char very carefully.
Okie dokie. Can he hear through Bangar? This would be the greatest concern. Here we are having these important conversations with the mouthpiece of Jormag right next to us. Like, do we have a problem with that?
I don't believe that's their intent. But it is possible that through Bangar, Jormag could hear us. Or rather, it would be, if I hadn't magically bound Bangar's cage. Don't worry, champion. So long as he's in that cage, I will decide what Jormag hears.
Huh. So that's like good, I guess, from a storytelling perspective. Like, oh, okay, so that little loose end is tied up, and Irene is doing this thing for us, but beyond the fact that it's like, oh, suddenly we find out that Irene has this capability, and it's kind of a weird thing, like a random thing that turns out this prismatic dragon has. Beyond that, also a weird power play that Irene now exclusively controls not only everything that she controls by virtue of being this Elder Dragon that's hanging out here with us, but now controls what another Elder Dragon does and does not know of us. That's a lot. That's a lot that's concentrated right here, right? Where do you think Jormag and Ryland went?
I wish I knew. I sense Jormag moving through Tyria, taking advantage of the mists as Kralkatorrik did.
Huh.
Yet, it chose neither to consume nor destroy. Pleasant change of pace, but disturbing nonetheless. That's my long way of saying I have no idea. I'm sorry, champion.
So, that's interesting at a couple levels. Obviously, the fact that Jormag is making a conscious decision not to destroy anything should be interesting to us. So Jormag is playing some kind of long game. But also the fact that that Jormag just has this ability to traverse the mists as Kralkatorrik did. So that's not something we saw at Mordremoth. It's not something we saw at a Zaitan. It's not something that we are given any indication that Primordus has. But Kralkatorrik and Jormag can do it for reasons that are never fully addressed within the story. Do they need to be addressed? Not necessarily. I can see ArenaNet really digging themselves in a hole if they made an effort to address that. But still, odd thing. 2 dragons can do it, 3 can't. Do we ever even find out if the last dragon can do it? I don't recall. But maybe we'll find out when we get into End Dragons. Okay, well, for the time being, we have wrapped up all this dialogue, and we are actually done with Jormag Rising. Yep, all wrapped up. So we're ready to dive into Champions. Champions is super weird, but we'll cross that bridge tomorrow. It's somewhat of a disappointing ending to what has been up until this point, like a rather enjoyable story. But by this point in time, my understanding is they were already working on End of Dragons, so maybe they were preoccupied. Even if they weren't, I don't know, man. Like, to some degree, when it came to their storytelling, they also painted themselves into a corner. It's a shame to see that. It reminds me a little bit of the book Annihilation, or the series of books which started with Annihilation. Don't assume that the movie is anything like the book. It's literally nothing like the book at all. But if you've read that book or those series of books, like, it starts out super intriguing, and it turns out the author doesn't know where he's going. Vandermeer, I think is his name, and ends up with no story to tell at all. Really disappointing, because it's really an enjoyable series up until the point you realize that it's going nowhere. And we are going to kind of see that out of the end of Icebrood Saga. We'll see that tomorrow. But in the meantime, where are we at? Well, Jormag's out there running around willy-nilly doing Jormag's thing. Ryland is now Jormag's champion. We are not 100% what the path forward is, but at least the Char have been reconciled, and presumably the Char civil war is over, and there will be no more Frost Legion. But there still is Jormag, so when we pick it up tomorrow, we have to figure out what to do with Jormag, because now Jormag is fully awake, Jormag has a champion, and even if Jormag is not actively destroying things right now, we can assume that they are the most significant threat that Tyria currently faces. So that is where we will pick it up tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with me as we finish up Jormag Rising, and I look forward to the next chapter. You have a good one.